and welcome back to another tactical review on the CFC Central YouTube channel. I am Sam. This video we're focusing on a few tactical aspects of the United game, what Chelsea did right and where we struggled. So without any further ado, let's dive straight in. Now, very early on, we see the intentions of both managers. Chelsea are now in their familiar 4+2 build-up, with Sanchez joining the back line as the extra centre-back. In previous games, we've seen the inverted fullback in Gusto partner Caicedo, but with Lavia now back, Maresca seems to prefer both in the double pivot to orchestrate build-up and seems quite content with their dynamic and physicality out of possession. Man United are using a 4-2-4. The central players, the centre forward Højlund and the number 10 Bruno, look to shadow our pivots, trying to cut out passes into the central zone that Maresca likes to build through. Now note the timestamp here, it's 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Levi stays on the ball for a full 8 seconds before United decide to press with Højlund. Now this is exactly what Maresca wants, to provoke the press from one of Bruno or Højlund, because it leaves our pivots 2v1 in the middle against the other player. There's a 3-box-3 in possession with Gusto moving into the right 10, something we will discuss later on in detail. Notice Garnacho's position on the right here, he is half and half, meaning he has been asked to press Reece James if Levi passes to him, but also told to stay narrow in the front four to prevent any passes going to Palmer, despite him already being marked by Casemiro. Chelsea knew trying to play through United's mid-block, where they were very good at winning the ball centrally, was an issue, so they looked to capitalize on moments where United's structure was in a little bit of disarray. Here you can see United are looking to counter-press. Mazraoui is trying to pressure Gusto. With no front two shadowing Lavia anymore, the Belgian is unmarked and receives a pass. United's pivots don't press him at all, so Casemiro is now stuck between keeping an eye on Palmer and preventing Lavia from covering ground. Palmer cleverly makes a run around Casemiro, and you can see that Chelsea now have a 4v3 on United's last line. This was Maresca's game plan in attack, providing the framework for his attackers to get into these advantageous scenarios and expecting them to finish the job. Chelsea tried to exploit the 4-2-4 by doing something they've done before this season, using Cole Palmer to drop into the pockets on either side of the double pivot. Here he drags out Casemiro to the wing. You can see now only Ugarte is left guarding Gusto in the right half space, leaving a nice gap that Casemiro should be covering. However, Garnacho quickly double teams Palmer, also blocking the passing lane back to Reece, and Rashford does very well to track Lavia. United's attackers were generally diligent out of possession and made sure that progression through the centre was quite tough to do without high risk. United's strategy in attack blended their strengths with opportunity, counter-attacking and targeting a Blues backline with no clean sheets in the last 8 games. In this sequence, Noni's in the box trying to find a cutback. Mazraoui blocks it and recovers the ball. Lavia and Caicedo are both at the edge of the box, and Mazraoui tries to go long to Højlund. Fofana intervenes, but his header loops straight back to Rashford. Now from their own penalty box, United are now 3v3 on Chelsea's last line, with Caicedo and Lavia stranded at least 15 yards away. Luckily, Højlund's cross from wide nutmegs Rashford and the danger passes. In this next sequence, United stay committed to their plan, even in their own half. The centre is very congested, inviting Chelsea to play into the pressure. Garnacho's positioning close to Palmer, rather than being in a half-and-half position to help Dalot versus Neto, also tells you where his priorities lie. Reece finds a pass to Lavia, who struggles to find a short option and is dispossessed by Casemiro. Once again, United break against their back three, 2 players in transition, and 2 more arriving ahead of our double pivot. Gusto has been inverting quite frequently from fullback this season, but often into the pivot next to Caicedo. With Lavia fit, however, Gusto now featured as the right-sided 10 against United. But let's take this example here to illustrate why he's played here. In the 18th minute, you can see a 3-box-3 with Gusto as the right 10. Now notice here that United's 3 midfielders are all occupied. Ugarte is on Caicedo, Casemiro on Palmer, and Bruno is on Lavia. Gusto is right back, so should technically be marked by the left winger, who is Rashford. Rashford, however, does not want to drop deep to mark Gusto, so he tries to hand him over to Lisandro, who can't really take Gusto because that would leave Jackson 1v1 with De Ligt. Gusto understands that both Rashford and Lisandro are hesitant to defend him, so as soon as the ball goes right to Noni, He makes a run in behind Mazraoui. Rashford now is forced to track against his wishes. This of course means that if the ball is lost, United are one attacker short up front, Rashford has to attack further away from goal, and he's also burning energy defending, something he doesn't like to do. Let's take another sequence here in the first half. United abandoned their 4-2-4 with Bruno pressing Sanchez. You can see the knock-on effect of Ugarte having to push up to close down the pivot that Bruno should be covering. Sanchez plays into the pressure to Caicedo, who finds the third man Lavia, who looks to carry it into space. Again, United's three midfielders are out of the picture. Bruno is taken out by us beating the press. Ugarte is close to Caicedo, and Palmer is close to Casemiro, trying to drag the Brazilian away to open the space for Lavia's carry. Rashford on the far side had pushed up to press on Fofana, but as Lavia carries forward, you can see that his marker Gusto is completely free. Lisandro is very hesitant to get close to Gusto, knowing if he does, Lavia might put a through ball for Jackson versus De Ligt, where there's probably only one winner. Lavia continues to carry, and like Maresca envisioned, Rashford does not bother tracking back. Gusto quickly moves the ball wide and once again looks to attack the space behind Mazraoui. With Rashford not tracking, Lisandro is forced to step out and cover his fullback. This leaves a dangerous 3v3 in the centre of goal, but Gusto's cross is cut out. Decisions and the final ball are where Gusto and Chelsea both suffered. This is one of three crosses Gusto attempted that evening, all from a similar position. None of them were successful. In the 10th minute, after a foul on Caicedo, Gusto again does well to push into space from right back to receive a quick pass from Caicedo. Under absolutely no pressure, he is able to carry forward, but again, with a relatively simple pass to play Madueke in, he plays it straight to Mazraoui. Around the half-hour mark, Reece breaks the United press. Note that after failing to track Gusto multiple times, it is now Garnacho on the left and Rashford on the right. To stop Reece from carrying, Casemiro is forced to close him down, leaving his man Palmer free in the process. The ball finds Palmer in space, who drives towards the centre and draws Ugarte. Once again, Gusto is free at right 10 and receives under no pressure with time to make his decision. And yet again, his final ball is abysmal with a 2v2 close to the 6-yard box. Just before halftime proved to be the final straw for Maresca. Reece again draws Rashford's press. Chelsea's three midfielders are covered by United's three. Gusto does very well to peel off Garnacho, and Reece finds him with a lovely ball through the line. From here, with Palmer breaking away from Casemiro and Lisandro hesitant to step up, a simple layoff to your team's best creator is a no-brainer. Instead, Gusto tries a through ball with his weaker foot, with Jackson still a few yards behind De Ligt. At halftime, Maresca makes a switch to mirror his setup, moving Reece to right back, putting Palmer in his favoured right 10 role and Cucurella at left 10. It didn't make a whole lot of difference in the second half, but Gusto struggles as the fourth attacker in recent games, especially in terms of his decision-making, final ball and shooting, like in the Newcastle game where he had 4 shots but none found the target, will give Maresca something to think about. Chelsea's high press versus United was a high-risk and high-reward maneuver. Note that United also invert one of their fullbacks into midfield on occasion. It's usually Dallo, but here it is Mazraoui at left 10, who has been followed by Noni. Palmer and Jackson press as a front two against United's two centre-backs and Onana, looking to force them to one side. Caicedo and Lavia are on Ugarte and Casemiro respectively, but this is a problem since this means the number 10 and United's most dangerous player Bruno is now free. This is dealt with in a risky way, with Levi Colwill stepping out to be close to Bruno, meaning United are now 3v3 on our last line. When Palmer manages to force Onana to the right, you can see how Chelsea do a good job of cutting out all near-side options, which forces Onana to go long. Noni wins a header versus Mazraoui, and the Blues benefit from the turnover. United though quickly looked to exploit what Maresca was asking Colwill to do. In the 58th minute, Casemiro has the ball down United's left. Mazraoui is again inverting into midfield. All Chelsea midfielders here are occupied. Caicedo is deep, covering Reece's position at right centre-back. Palmer is trying to close down Casemiro, and Lavia is keeping an eye on Mazraoui in Noni's absence. On the far side, you can see Levi in a half-and-half position, staying close enough to press Bruno, who is the free midfielder, and close enough to retreat back into his backline. Casemiro passes inside to Mazraoui, and Colwill is forced to step out to Bruno. The ball goes to Ugarte, who is unmarked, and he finds a nice diagonal to Rashford on the right wing versus Kukureya. There's a 2v2 in the box now, and look how far Colwill is from the danger. In the 84th, after a lot of substitutions, De Ligt is on the ball, Enzo is on Casemiro, Palmer is on Lindelof, who came on for Ugarte, Caicedo is actually deeper to screen his defense, and quite close to Bruno as well. With Palmer taking a man, all three of United's central midfielders are now covered, but Colwill still decides to close down Bruno on De Ligt's pass. Bruno though brilliantly flicks a ball in behind, and again, it's a 3v3 on our last line with Fofana 1v1 on Xerxes. Colwill again not even in the picture. West luckily makes a vital interception. If this was Hoyland though instead of a slow Xerxes, it may have been a different matter altogether. And finally, in the dying stages of the game, United have the ball in the defensive third once more. Bruno this time drifts and drags Colwill out to the right wing. Onana quickly goes long to the left wing for a 2v2 with Xerxes and Garnacho against Fofana and Reece James. Just look at the distance here between the two Chelsea centre-backs. Xerxes now flicks the ball into space for Garnacho, who is 1v1 with Fofana. There are now no centre-backs in the box to defend the cross. These instances aren't really Colwill's fault, he's simply following tactical instructions. United were able to manipulate Chelsea's man marking at the back, and it is something that teams are increasingly getting wise to. Gusto's struggles as the right 10 could also prompt a rethink of how the box midfield looks in possession, especially if the alternative allows Palmer to play in his favoured position at right 10. But that's all for this one. Hope you enjoyed watching it. As always, up the Chels.